Welcome, all you geeks out there. Welcome back to Marvel Revisited. I am joined with the full crew today for a really great movie. Of course, we've got the scruffy-looking geek, Eric Witzka.
Oh man, I thought I was a dork, but now I'm a geek. Okay,
I think that's a upgrade.
Sure.
Who's your daddy? The two-time daddy. That's right, Nate Daddy.
They call me the two-time.
Weirdest and
and the engaged one, Danny Escarcega.
hello.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that later.
Or not.
We'll see. We'll see about that. Oh, man. So we are all here to talk, geek out over what movie, Eric?
Okay, I'll do it this time. Avengers!
The Avengers. Wait, is it the Avengers or is it Avengers?
Insert the.
Insert the here. Avengers.
Yes, we are talking about the Avengers. Of course, this is Marvel Revisited, where we all get together and geek out over every MCU movie in order. The Avengers came out May 4th, 2012. Of course, directed by Joss Whedon.
Joss.
It's Joss.
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 Whedon.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Budget of $220 million.
Big
Sounds
boy.
about right.
Box office of
Worldwide.
$1.5 billion.
$1 billion.
The first Marvel movie to make $1 billion.
Good damn. Oh man, what was the next highest Marvel movie?
I don't know.
Is it Cap?
Ultron. Nah, I
No.
feel like it's Ultron.
That had come out to that point.
Oh,
To that point? No. Was it?
Was it Iron
Might have
Man
been.
2?
it might have been
I
Cap
don't know.
actually.
Because
know.
whatever it is, Avengers like doubled or tripled it. It's insane.
Yeah. Let's see real quick. See if I can get some quick numbers. Iron Man 2 had $623 million.
Yeah, so more than
So
doubled Iron Man 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What did Captain America have?
I think it was like
Right.
300 or 270 or something like that. I don't know.
Let's
320?
see. Captain America had 370.
There you go.
Yeah. So Iron Man 2 did way better than Cap, but anyways, start off with Eric. Eric,
Give us
how
those
many times-
SL. Okay, never mind. I got ahead of myself. Go ahead.
How many times have you seen The Avengers, and did anything change rewatching it?
This is one of the Marvel movies that, I've seen a lot because it's one of my favorites to this day, Danny. I think I've seen it. This was probably my 6th or 7th time watching it.
Okay.
I mean, nothing like super up there, like I have it on every day or anything. But yeah, I think I saw it twice in theaters, and then I'd watch it here and there. So I really like this movie
Nice. Nate.
to this day.
Man, same. This is definitely one of the ones I've watched the most. I think I've seen it in theaters twice when it first came out, and then for Ultron. I watched it in theaters again in a little event that we had, which was bad for Ultron.
Yeah.
And, just a slurry of other times in between and since, because, yeah, it's amazing. It is a really good movie. It was one of the first movies, not even one, I think it was the first movie that I watched when my family came back to the US. So it was also just like really, really cool. Yeah, it was great.
Danny.
I've watched this movie. I'm frozen, aren't I?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes.
Just go for it. It's hilarious. You look like a painting.
I've watched this movie. I'm like, man, he's really good at ventriloquism.
All right.
Daddy.
I've watched this movie probably 4 times since it came out. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. It just wasn't for me that much. Obviously, the characters in it were amazing.
Danny, when's the
I don't know, I
last
just
time
feel
you've
like-
seen this movie?
Shut up.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You little punk.
I can tell you. I can tell you it was December, but I don't know if it was this year or last year.
Why is he on this podcast?
Agreed. Yeah, so for me, I distinctly remember the first time I went to go watch this movie, and I watched it with Diego and Danny. That was the first time I ever watched this movie. We watched it at the Flatirons here at the mall.
I watched it
and-
at a promenade.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But I remember that I was like, all right, this is the movie. This is it. And honestly, this movie changed the world. Not only in the MCU, but also like so many franchises have tried to capture that same magic that this movie
Beastie.
does. Yeah, honestly, yeah. And I don't know if anyone else has really been able to capture it again, you know? And I feel like the MCU evolved from it, but they've never gotten like that, you know, same vibe from it before. It's been different.
I think
every
they've
time, as it
surpassed
should.
it.
Oh yeah, they have. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like this specific vibe is so special to this movie. And
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just,
I didn't even say how many times I've seen it, but I
Go
think
ahead.
5 or 6, something like that.
This is just
And-
like. Go ahead, Danny.
Well, I was gonna say how when he mentioned like, did anything change when watching this movie? And honestly, I'm be honest with you guys. I started it, and the first time that I watched it, it was very exciting to see all these characters just in the same movie. Just like, oh my god, childhood come to life and live action. And then I watched it 2 more times, and it was like, yeah, okay. And then the fourth time, I was like, this isn't like, I remember it a little like longer than it is. Like, it feels like such a short movie.
Mm.
Like for me, it felt like a 52-minute movie, if anything.
You know why that is, Danny? So it's such a good movie that it flies like that.
Exactly, yeah.
How dare you?
See, and like, should we skip a little? Should we skip?
No,
Should we
no.
skip a couple
hold
movies?
on.
Like, all right.
No.
Winston, why don't you pull up the runtime real quick?
The run
Yeah,
time.
the movie.
2 hours and 23 minutes.
Yeah, so already for the time, it's
That's a
pushing,
long movie.
because I think there had been a couple movies before that had, gone longer than the 2 hour mark. But this was one of the movies that was like, when we need to make a long movie, we're going to make a long movie. And that's just what it's going to be. And and another thing I wanted to say is this movie, even for its time, it was hyped. Because people had
Oh, yeah.
already figured out, by Thor and by Captain America, that this was all in the same universe. And hubbub had already started that they're going to make a team up movie. And it like lived up to the hype. And then on top of that, just like one of those quintessential blockbuster summer movies. I think it came out in late May, and it's just like, it's
something like
up
that.
there with, your Jurassic Parks, your Jaws, your freaking Independence Days, like just those, like the movies you think of when you think of big budget summer blockbuster. And this is
Exactly.
like, this was the one.
Yeah. I feel like before we had like Spider-Man, which of course was amazing and it got a lot of numbers and we had X-Men and stuff like that. Fantastic Four, kind of, but this was the first one where it was like, okay, the MCU is a big deal, you know? After it made, $1 billion, like this is a known franchise. People love this franchise and this is huge, This is what put the MCU really on the map. And
I wouldn't even say it's what put it on the map. It's what put it at the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see, for
Honestly,
me, it had been a long while since I've actually sat down and seen this movie. And dude, I had a grin on my face like the entire time.
Same.
I missed this movie. Holy crap. It was such a good time.
see, I really miss that feeling of it because like I see it now and like even the beginning of it, it didn't captivate me like before. I don't know why. Like maybe just because I'm stressed in my daily life, or like I just didn't feel the same how I felt it like these last 4 times. Like it was like something was missing from it that I just. It's probably because so many Marvel movies that we have now. It's like this feels so small. But
Sure,
there
but
were obviously so many things about this movie that make it a great movie. One
Mhm.
thing that I detest, and we're gonna get to that, is the costumes.
Oh, interesting.
Hmm
First off, let's rank the importance to the MCU. Man, this is a real tough one, right?
Number
Eric, what do
one.
you think?
Right below the Hulk. No. Just because we have to. That number one,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah,
I don't
and
even need to
it's
say what's on the list.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't
No,
matter.
no
Yeah.
contest.
Yeah. First true team up. Biggest movie to date.
Avengers Assemble.
Hinting Thanos. There's just like
Thanos.
so much in this movie.
And we never got Thanos.
I don't remember that villain. Yeah.
And reintroducing the Tesseract.
What is wrong?
You said all of that weird.
Reintroducing the
The
Tesseract.
Potato, potato.
As soon as I felt saying reintroducing, I was like, nope, I can't. Like, I can't open my mouth a little
That's
longer.
when you abort. That's what happens when you don't watch the movie, Danny.
Oh.
A lot of things happen when I don't watch a movie. For example, I forgot the ending. They
Oh,
die, right?
Yep, they all die.
yes. Yep. That's it. That's it. Yeah. So of course that makes it's all across the board. Avengers #1 MCU importance.
Yep.
Number one.
Now let's get to the thing that Danny was talking about. Let's talk about some of these costumes. Let's start off with the greatest one, Iron Man suits. What'd you guys think of of Mark? What is it?
7.
Mark.
7? Yeah, Mark 7.
Mark 7
Which
is
is
one of
weird.
my favorites.
Because the last time we went off was Mark 5.
Yeah, I think
so.
there was a revision to the triangle garbage in
Okay.
between movies.
Okay.
If you
so that one
notice
we're not
the
talking
Iron Man
about.
2 one, it was like a little more beefy on the chest area, and this one is he's a little more slimmed down.
Okay, sorry. Stepping back a little bit. I am going to ramble a bit on this podcast because there's so much stuff I love about this movie. But maybe this is the first movie that they actually natively shot in 4K or something. But immediately I could tell this movie looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it does.
And even like when there's like scenes of him in the triangle suit, I could see the little triangle of the actual like element inside of him. I was like,
Nice.
that is so cool. I've never realized that before.
Nice.
And speaking of which,
I still have a dead pixel on my TV. Which, by the way, once this movie was ending, my wife was like, "We need to get a new TV."
Something else I thought about that we should have mentioned in the Captain America one is that when Howard Stark sees the Tesseract, that's when he starts putting everything in motion so that Tony can make the new element for his chest piece. So the new element he makes is based off the architecture of the Tesseract.
How do you know this?
I was like, because when he's got the little robot in Captain America, and he's like, that's so much power, and he's like, yeah, it's way beyond anything. And then later he was like, yeah, I'm not later, but later in the chronological order, he's talking to Tony, and he's like, I don't have enough technology in my time to make this. So
okay.
That's how he got the idea, at least for this element.
Okay.
Anyways, back to the real subject at hand. Where do we rank the Mark 7?
You got to give us the list, Winston.
Okay.
While you look up the. All right, go ahead.
It's Suitcase Boy,
Oh god.
Suitcase Boy, Chrome Dome,
I don't,
Triangle
I
Cool
don't want to be
Boy,
here.
the Mark III, the Orig, and then Cave Boy.
Number one.
I'd
Put it above everything. Even though
I'd
really,
say-
it's below Mark III, and Mark III is still number one. But compared
So,
to
yeah,
everything
no,
else
you
on
have to-
this
you have to rank
stupid
it.
list, it's number one.
If you think it goes above Mark III, that's where it goes.
No, I
you know?
don't. But I'm not putting it down there because it's better than everything other than Mark III. So I put
I
it at
think
number
it's-
one.
I think it goes like a little bit above Chrome Boy, just a little bit.
Okay. I would agree. I think this goes number 2 spot. So it's right under Suitcase is Avengers suit. What do you think, Eric?
I love this suit. It's my favorite.
Oh, really? So,
Number
oh man,
one.
we need a tiebreaker because you
All
both
right.
say 1, me and
I
Danny
say
say
since
2.
you guys desecrated my family line by putting Mark III as so low, just give it to us, bro.
It's just the Suitcase.
You
is
have
so
two
cool,
babies.
man.
Stop crying.
No, see, like, let's just ask. Let's just.
That's
Yeah,
the reason
and
he
this-
is crying.
Is
and
Kaylin
this
available?
dishonor
Just-
will be remembered for generations to come. Kaylin,
real quick.
Where do you
just
where do you rank the new suit, the Iron Man suit? Is it better than
Nah.
the Suitcase suit or worse
We
than the
need her on the
Suitcase suit?
mic. We need her on the mic.
Kaylin said better. It's number one.
Okay. The new ranking
All right.
is
At-
number
at-
1.
At
Mark
least I get
7.
a consolation
what do you want
prize.
to nickname this one?
Avengers boy.
Okay. Avengers Boy Mark
Avengers
7.
1 boy.
Suitcase, and then Chrome Dome,
And then
Triangle,
Blasphemy.
Cool Boy, Mark III, a Ridge, and then Cave Boy number 6.
I remember when we were watching this film, and then Iron Man finally shows up. I remember telling Kaylin, like, man, I remember watching this in theaters and being like, man, you know, it's been a while since Iron Man 2 came out. You know, we've seen Thor and we've seen Captain America, like just how hype and exciting it was to see Iron Man again on screen. And
to shoot to thrill by
I
AC/DC.
know, I was about to
Yeah.
say, dude, it's like, I
I was
love
like,
how, I know, bro. I was
That's
like,
so cool.
same thing, bro. I was like, I love how all these characters have their themes, and then Iron Man is just AC/DC. Just whatever
Yeah.
AC/DC song is Iron Man's theme.
You miss me?
Oh yeah.
So
So
good.
good, bro.
Yeah. What about Cap suit?
That's at the bottom of the list. That's the worst
No,
suit
it's-
ever. I hate
Worse
that.
than Propaganda Boy?
That suit is very dumb. I hate
I
that.
agree. I
Dude,
don't
it
like it very
suffers
much
the
either.
same
It's-
problem as
It's right in the middle.
yeah,
It's
it
right in the
suffers
middle.
the same problem as the first Avenger,
Propaganda
as
Boy.
like they're trying to make it look cool, but it just looks stupid, man.
Mhm.
I don't
I
know.
think it has a lot to do with
How bright the blue is.
well, yeah,
Oh,
and
how
the
tight it
headpiece is it is really tight. I think that might be it.
The other thing I realize is that most like I've seen like documentaries of how they design most MCU suits, at least now, is that they do a vest and then they'll do something underneath the vest. So that way that they have free range of motion with their arms and everything. This suit is before that point. This is not a vest. And it looks off. It just looks weird and it looks way too, there's all these other all the other people in the MCU. We've got Hawkeye, Black Widow, and they're all like,
See-
leathery, very,
Black,
modern
tactical.
suits.
And if you
Even
remember
Thor
the
looks cool. And then we've got Cap. Like he's just like this big
No,
blueberry.
Thor looks kind of stupid in this movie.
he looks better than Cap.
He
he
looks-
looks so
I
much
think
better
so.
than Cap.
When Thor puts on his like his arm armor, he looks cool.
Yeah.
Without it, it looks a little
No, in this movie.
funky.
In this movie. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
That's
When
still
he has
good.
the arms
Yeah.
at the end, he
Yeah.
does look better.
Yeah.
You're correct.
Yeah, when he
So
puts it on.
if you guys remember that introduction in the what's it called I'm mixing it with Halo.
Helipad?
Yes.
The helicarrier.
Um,
Sorry, helicarrier.
No, not the helicarrier. The little airship, whatever. Where they're introducing the suit to Captain America, like they made such a big climax moment for it. Then it's this piece of garbage. It's like that was horrible.
We got
I-
your old
I-
suit dry cleaned.
Like,
Right.
we added some more pockets.
Stars and stripes.
What do you? But officially, I think for me, this probably goes under Old Boy.
Is that what we called it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Old
that's
Boy
what you
and
called
Propaganda
it.
Boy.
It goes below Old Boy, above
I
Propaganda
I
Boy.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's at the new number 2 spot. Propaganda Boy gets pushed to 3.
Yeah, that's fine. They're
Alright.
to me, they're like both just as ugly
Yeah.
in different
Uh,
ways. In different ways.
But since we were talking about Iron Man, let's talk about Robert Downey Jr.'s performance.
Junie,
in
not
this.
Junior, Junie.
What do you think about this one, Nate?
It's a good one, man. It's really good, dude. Oh my god. Okay, I think it's better than Iron Man 2. It's better than Hulk.
Hulk's not on there.
Oh, is it better than Iron Man 1?
I feel like it is.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is
I
better
agree.
than Iron
The
Man 1.
biggest argument you have with that is just the tension that's just naturally there with Captain America
Yeah, the
being
chemistry.
Mr. Goody Goody and Iron
Mhm.
Man being the I don't care, I'm just doing this.
This is where we get that the start to that magnificent chemistry between these two characters. You know, both are good people,
But are
they
doing
just come
yeah,
at
they have
things
totally
at
different
very
ideals.
exactly. Yeah,
I know
And-
that Captain America is considered like lawful good, and then Tony Stark is considered what, neutral good or chaotic,
chaotic good.
No,
Probably.
he's not
Yeah,
chaotic good, bro.
good?
No?
I'd say neutral good.
Neutral good. Okay.
I don't know about neutral good. Nate just flipped us off, but I don't know about neutral good.
Sorry.
It's just
I don't know. I feel like this is where we actually get the Tony that we all know. And
He just
love,
has
you know?
so many
The
good
first-
lines too, where it's
Oh,
like he's
yeah.
got a
Great stuff.
that he just doesn't have in the first Iron Man. Like, remember when they're in the dropship and Thor shows up and Iron Man or Cap is like, wait, we need a plan of attack. And freaking Iron Man's like, I have a plan. Attack. It's just
Attack.
so
Yeah.
great. And he's got
It's so
so
great.
many tiny little jabs, you know, where he's like, and he sees Thor again on the helicarrier thing. And he's like, you got a mean right hook. Just like, and Thor's like, what the hell? It's just so good, bro.
Yep.
And it's just like endless. The shawarma line, it's like
Speaking
so
of
good.
which, let's
the
introduce
Shakespeare line.
marvelous facts. The final end credit scene was added after Robert Downey Jr. encouraged a scene rewrite. After Tony Stark falls back to Earth, he originally awakens and asks, "What's next?" Robert Downey Jr. thought the line could be more interesting, and the idea of going to a local shawarma restaurant was born. The scene was added one day after the global premiere, which is interesting because I never remembered that scene when I went to go see it.
Oh, really?
And since then, shawarma sales around the US skyrocketed. Isn't that cool?
Go freaking Robert Downey Jr. Another fun
Right.
fact, I don't know if you have this, Winston,
Jay.
but Chris Evans had a beard and was filming another
Mhm.
movie. So if you watch him in that scene, he's just
He's
like
just
this
holding his mouth. Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
time. Like he just does not, because he's like covering his beard.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Also, reportedly, Iron Man's "Let's just not come in tomorrow" speech was improvised by Robert Downey Jr.
Dude, there's so
As-
much improvisation.
As was the "Doth mother know you weareth her
The drapes,
drapes?"
another great line,
Improvised.
dude.
Improvised.
that
That's
is
amazing.
so
Dude, and then this is
common.
what Winston had told me in the past, but like the scene where they're in the lab with Bruce Banner and he just has like blueberries in a little cup and just
That's what I was gonna
and
say.
freaking Ruffalo's just going with it, and Chris Evans is
Uh-huh.
going with it, and in character, like Ruffalo's like,
Mhm.
sure, I'll grab some. Chris Evans like, what is this crap? It's like amazing, dude. Ugh,
Mhm.
he just brings something. And then the whole conversation he has with Loki at the end, it's like, that's such a corny freaking line, dude. It's such a corny line. It's like, even if you do win and your army does, like, if we can't beat you now, then you know we're gonna avenge it later. And it's like, damn, that's such a stupid line on paper. but it's just the way he delivers it and the way that the movie sets it up. It's like it works.
It's because RDJ's performance is, you believe his cockiness. It's not just like arrogant. And it's like, yeah, he can back it up. He's gonna back it up. He's not just talking. He'll back it up.
I have an army. We have a Hulk.
I know.
Exactly.
So
Just
good.
like,
So good. Yeah, I think this goes at number 1. So are we officially putting it at number 1
Yeah.
above Iron Man?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
You have
let's-
RDJ performances?
Yeah.
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 I want Loki performances as well. So
Oh yeah.
We'll get there. We'll
make
get there.
that list. What do you mean? We're
What
in
about
performances.
Edward
Let's just do it
Norton?
right now.
All right, cool. Tom Hiddleston performance. Yeah, we already have the list made, dude.
Yeah, it's number
I
one,
I am Loki of Asgard,
right?
and I am
yeah, it's number
burdened
one.
with glorious
It's
purpose.
so
I
that
love
line
it.
is so funny now in you know, with perspective of the show.
You know what? Something I was thinking about, and we'll get into this more when you actually talk about the MCU villains, but like you can tell that, and this is something I'm like latching onto now after we've seen so much in the MCU, but this is a guy who's just, he's way in, like he's too far in, you know, he doesn't know how to control the
yeah.
situation anymore.
He's
you
in
know?
over his head.
That's what I mean. Thank you. Yeah. And it's so obvious in a lot of those scenes.
Yeah, dude, he has a couple. He's got really good scenes that it is comparable to his performance in Thor, but just the stakes are so much higher, and he's acting against people that are just giving it their all, just like him. But you know, he has, honestly, his two standout scenes are with Thor, which really is, I think, is great. He has the on the mountain when they're talking, and you know, there's just a hilarious line where Thor, I don't remember what Thor says, but then he just gets like freaking,
Listen well, brother.
he gets clotheslined by
I'm
Iron
listening.
Man. He's like,
I'm
I'm
listening.
listening. So freaking good. And then he has his second scene with Thor when they're on Stark Tower, and Thor's like, cut this out. Everybody loves you. Come back home. Stop it. And you can just see for like a second, bro, he's thinking about it. And I think then he stabs Thor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Too late
just-
for that.
It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. See, and here's my thing with it. I'm like, in Loki, I like what you said, Nate, that he's not really a villain, you know? Like, he does some bad things, but it's arguable to make him a villain. And in this, he's a full-on villain.
Yeah,
you know?
straight up. He's killed like
And-
80 people, I think, by the beginning of the
yeah.
movie almost.
He's
And
adopted.
I don't
Great
know
line.
which one I like. I don't know which one I like better, honestly. Because after going back and watching Thor, I really like that character who's just like, I've lived my life in the shadow of my brother, and I just want to feel accepted by my family, you know? And that's his motivation in Thor. And then in this one, it's just like, I just want to mess stuff up because
No, I don't even think it's I want to mess stuff up. It's like I couldn't take over Asgard, so I'm going to take over Earth to like get back at my brother and my dad. And
but I'm like,
go ahead.
I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I like that character more, you know? Like, I can see how that could happen to that character, but I like that version of Thor a little bit more. He seems
Of
more
Loki.
human, you know?
Of Loki.
Even though yes, of Loki. In Thor is what I meant.
Yeah.
Like that version of the character in Thor. But what do you guys
Yeah,
think?
I think you're totally right. Like what he shows in Thor is great, but we only get to see that at like the end of the movie in Thor.
Mhm.
And in
Yeah.
the first half, he's just like basically a side character. You know he's not, but that's how it feels. Whereas in this one, it's like he gets to stretch his legs as a villain with his performance the entire time. You know, it's like he shows up and he's freaking doing work, bro. He freaking neutralizes Hawkeye, freaking takes a dump on what's his name? Director Fury.
Germany.
I wanted to call him Agent Fury, but he's not an agent.
Which, by the way,
Director.
Fury really
Oh, yeah, he did.
steals his show in this as well.
Yeah, this is
Mhm.
I think probably his best film, maybe.
Mhm.
You know,
And-
and then again, you get to see his intelligence. Well, I think it's both his intelligence and Hawkeye's intelligence, where they go take that art gallery, they get the iridium, another great scene as a villain. Great
Oh,
scene,
yeah.
super
He's taking the
memorable.
dude's eye and he's just smiling.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, menacing.
And then when he has his little speech about how humanity, so good. So you got another good scene there. Then you have all his scenes both with Director Fury and with Black Widow, which are just as powerful. At least maybe they don't hit as hard, but the performance is just as passionate, as intense as anything you get in Thor. And then you get his stuff at the end, and it's just like you just get more consistent goodness from the actor, and then the character just makes more sense. He's effective. He's not intimidating in the, oh my god, he's going to destroy everything. He's intimidating like that guy's dangerous. Like he's intimidating in that way. He's great, man. Even against Iron Man, when he's talking to Tony in that final scene, it's like he's great, man. He's just great across the board. And I just love it. I feel like he could have, well, I don't know if he could have been that in Thor, but we just got less of that in Thor. And that's why it's better in Avengers.
Yeah, I think you're right. What do you think, Eric? Sorry.
I concur. No, I'm like,
I mean, Nate's like definitely right about that. Again, Loki and Thor, you know that he's a villain, but he's just there. He's not really doing anything. In Avengers, you're very much aware that he's the threat.
Where's your cat?
Even
at?
when it was malfunctioning. Even when even in the cell, like he has such a menacing presence, and he's already detained, and like you can see how like he's playing chess while they were playing checkers. Like
Yeah.
you see that
For a while.
perfectly.
Yeah, for a while you're right. But once he goes up against Tony, that's when you can see the intelligence of Tony come around.
Yeah.
You can see, okay, Loki, he's very intelligent.
He's
He
cunning,
knows how to
very
manipulate.
cunning.
Yes, very cunning. But
mischievous.
he's not a genius
Yeah.
like Tony is, and we can see that, and I like that about it. Okay, so that means he's going on top of the list for Tom Hiddleston performances. I want to do a fun fact and then a quick sidestep before we rank him as a villain. A fun fact, marvelous fact. Why do I keep saying fun fact?
It's all the same.
When filming the scene of Loki yelling at the Hulk, Tom Hiddleston had a rope tied to his leg. And since the Hulk is just CGI, when the rope was pulled, it would appear that the Hulk grabbed him. Tom knew it was going to be pulled during the speech, but he didn't know when, so that he wouldn't be anticipating it.
That's
So
an actor.
He was
bro.
full on, had a full speech, and it was so you would get that genuine reaction.
So good.
Uni God.
You guys see the boy? I don't know why Kaylin did that.
Oh,
my
Just the
two
Elwood's
side
like right in the
notes.
corner. It's great.
My two side notes is one of them that in the end credit scene of Captain America, we saw that Loki is taking control of the scientist. And then in this, he has to take control of him again. It's like, wait, was he controlling him? Or
I think we get
him?
that a couple times where some of the end credit scenes don't like fully meet up with what you see in the movie. So I think that's all it is.
Yeah, that was one of my thoughts. I was like, okay, that's a little weird, but whatever. My other thing that I wanted to talk about is that I loved Black Widow in this. She's so good. And here's something really cool about the MCU is that since I've seen Black Widow years down the road, going back to Avengers really enhanced that. Like, I remember when I was first watching this movie and, Hawkeye and her are having that conversation. It's like, do you know what it's like to get, your head pulled out and somebody replacing it and everything?
I do. Yeah.
And I do. And that line hits so much harder because of the Black Widow movie, where the first time it's just like, that's a cool line, but there's no emotion behind it. And even though I didn't like the Black Widow movie, it still adds so much emotion to that scene, which is so
And
cool.
Budapest.
Budapest is a
Um,
disappointment, unfortunately.
While you bring up Black Widow,
You-
I have to
Go ahead.
bring up Scarlett Johansson's performance in this movie, because just the way she has to switch from like, oh, in terror, and then she's like, just, you can tell she's playing them, like, all of a sudden it's
Mhm.
just seamless.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah.
just like, especially with the Russians in the beginning, and then when she's playing Loki, you're just
Mhm.
like she, it's so genuine. Like, her fear is like, it seems like she is super afraid, and then like she turns around, she's like,
Thanks.
oh, that's your play? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
We also get that just a tiny bit with Bruce as well, where it's like she's trying to
Mhm.
be all nice and inviting with Bruce, and then Bruce like fakes her
Yeah.
out, and she's like super like stressed out, just like that,
Yeah.
and it's so good.
Yeah.
And later we get that scene where she's like literally like in shock, and she has to get herself together before she can move again.
Yeah,
after
and that
she
makes
sees the
me-
Hulk.
I
That
think
makes me-
that moment, by the way, I think that moment is so much bigger than they give it credit for. That moment right there is when she becomes an Avenger. Up to that point, she's just an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., she's just a spy, she's just helping people. But right in that moment when she like got knocked around by the Hulk, and then she's sitting there, and then she's like, Hawkeye is doing something, somebody come get him. And then she's like, I got it. That's the moment where she becomes an Avenger. And she's like, I'm going to go do all these crazy, insane things with all these crazy, insane people. And again, this is just me rereading into things. She may have been inspired by freaking Captain America, because they're in that freaking dropship, and freaking Thor shows up, and freaking Tony jumps out. And she's like, I'd sit this one out, man. They're crazy. And he's like, well, what do you guys remember exactly what he says? Oh, there's
They're
only
like,
one God.
she's like, they're
Yeah,
like
there's only
gods.
one.
Yeah, there's only one God, man, but he doesn't dress like that. Yeah.
And then hold up. Another tiny, awesome, just amazing foreshadowing that they do a decade in advance is Loki talks about Dreykov. He calls her Dreykov's daughter, and no, he talks about Dreykov's daughter because he knows that she killed Dreykov's daughter because Hawkeye
Right.
told
Mhm, I
Loki,
do-
and
I
it's
do.
like, God, that's such an awesome tiny little detail, but it ties into the universe a decade down the line.
Yep. And another thing that I liked about it was that there's that scene where he's all like, "You're a spy. You're not a soldier. Why are you doing this?" And everything. And I like that when we actually get to the battle in New York and everything, she is struggling. Where before that she's handling flawlessly. And it really shows that this isn't her forte. She's not a soldier. She is a spy, so she knows how to handle
And
the situation.
yeah.
But when she's on a battlefield, she struggles. But she still, like, of course, does amazing.
And yeah, you see that contrast with Captain America, because Captain
Mhm.
America is a soldier, and yeah,
Mhm.
this is aliens in extreme, but it's like just another day in the office for him. It's like bullets whizzing past heads, explosions everywhere, and he's like, "Let's get to work." It's his element, and you're right. And then you even Hawkeye, even though he is more comfortable looking, is both, and obviously Black Widow. You can see like they're like, okay, this is bigger than what I'm used to. And then another cool little detail is this is like a power level thing. Scarlett Johansson or Black Widow is just in a higher fighting tier than Hawkeye. Hawkeye is an
Mhm.
excellent fighter, but Black Widow is just above him because they have their little fight. And let me give you guys the breakdown on the fight.
Okay. All right. Let's do it.
Hawkeye hasn't slept for days, so he is nerfed there, but he is also going for the kill. He's not, because he's been completely, so he's going for the kill shot. She has been injured, and she's not trying to kill him, but she still beats him basically without a scratch. So she's just on a different level, man. She honestly
And-
might be the best fighter in this universe, just in flat out,
Hand-to-hand
like,
combat.
yeah, in just
And
technique.
the way that she's always portrayed in like comic books, even we've seen her in TV shows before this movie ever came out. you see how much importance like revolves around her from time to time, but you see it all in her strategic way of fighting. You see it like everybody else has powers and they're just like, oh, you're just a human, we can overwhelm
Yeah.
you with this.
Yeah, you're
But you see that human side so many times, and she just plays it flawlessly with, yeah, I'm human, so I'm gonna use it to my advantage, because she can trick the hell out of you, and then she's gonna whoop your butt. It's that simple. And with Hawkeye, like, yeah, he's like a marksman. He will hit any target whenever, but he's a long range person. Like, yeah, he has good fighting techniques, but Black Widow's way of fighting, you can see her intelligence in the battlefield when it comes to fighting.
Yeah,
And you
and
just
there's
see it throughout the whole Battle of New
Yeah.
York too.
you're totally
Like
right, 'cause
she,
with that little fight with Hawkeye, the first thing she does is take the bow away from Buck Clint. That's like the
Mhm.
first thing she does.
yeah.
Very strategic. Yeah.
And also when she's with the Chitauri, those two knives that she puts in his shoulders is like, that's not like something that you'd think of right away. You'd think of, oh, like he's taller than me, take his knees out. But no, she's like, nope, take his arms out.
Yeah. Improvising. Very good at it.
Yep.
I also, speaking of like the side characters, like I also from the Hawkeye show, I really like I forgot how cool Hawkeye is in this. And honestly, out of rewatching this, I'm like, man, out of all the Avengers, I'm probably the most like Hawkeye. And I'm like, I like relate to Hawkeye the most because he's just a guy in the background. You know, he doesn't want that much attention, but he's still like he knows what he needs to do at all times, and he's very good at what he does. So I'm like, that was just it's just really cool how the MCU always builds up even to the things that have already been done, you know? They make the past things better
Yeah.
as well at the same time making the future things
Yeah.
better.
And that what
Yeah.
you just talked about speaks to why this movie was so successful and why the team up genre became so successful moving on is because not everybody likes Iron Man. Not everybody likes Thor. Not everybody likes Captain America. But when you put them all together, there's something for everybody. There's somebody that loves the Hulk, they're going to watch it. There's somebody that loves Black Widow, they're going to watch it. Loves Hawkeye, they're going to watch it. Loves Cap. And when that's how you get that $1.5 billion in the box office. Because like you in this movie say like, man, I think I'm the most like Hawkeye. And me, on the other hand, I love how Captain America is so talented and so genius, but he is so misguided so often. And he does all these like questionable things so often. He's not like Captain America. Did I say Captain America or did I say Iron Man?
Captain
You
America.
said Captain
I meant
America.
Iron Man. I meant
Oh,
Iron
okay.
Man.
That makes more sense.
Yes.
Yeah, he said genius. I was like,
Because Captain
I
America,
remember the control
Captain
panel.
America Captain America is the opposite, where he's always going to do the right thing, always knows what to do, and whereas Iron Man is like trying to do the right thing, but he's going to mess up 100
It's gonna be a
times,
long one.
and all you can, and then you know, that's why I like him, is that he's going to mess up 100 times, but he's always going to try and do what's right at the end. He will swallow his pride at the end and try and do what's right.
And
One of the-
again,
Go ahead.
you or me?
No, you go ahead.
All right. Um, again, we see Tony's intelligence when it comes to his suit, because if you guys remember the last scene or the last Iron Man suit that he uses, which is the big battle, when he's thrown off the building, the little wrist things that he has there that connects him to the suit immediately. We see how he's been trying to add on to that in other movies too. But before this, we saw the first like kind of mimic to this with the what's called briefcase boy. We saw that, and you see it now. Like, okay, it's if I'm falling off a building,
Yeah.
I need it to fly to me. You
Well, yeah.
see his
Yeah,
More
genius.
affordability.
the thought
Yeah.
process is like, it was good to have the briefcase, but still Pepper and Happy were in danger trying to deliver the briefcase to me. So let's set up a system where it can come to me no matter
Yeah.
where I'm at. You can see
Yeah,
that
and
progression.
and again, we see this throughout the movies too.
Yeah.
But this is one that I feel like this is one that took like the bigger piece of the cake, because we saw how it went from just a briefcase to like flying all the way
A
to
little
him.
flying capsule.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of his suit.
Wait. Before
Okay.
we go into that, I
Go
have
for it.
one more thing that I thought was really cool about Hawkeye.
Okay.
It was just really quick, but like when they were actually starting to act like a team, like and him and Iron Man were conversing, and he's just like, yeah, well, they don't bank worth a damn, and he's like, and then Iron Man's like, oh, okay, well, thanks for that little tidbit of information, and then he just starts like taking these really
Crazy
sharp turns
turns.
and like taking them out.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and
I was like, hey, that's cool.
dude, and that's what's even awesome about that is that when they're all on the ground, Cap is like, Hawkeye, you get a vantage point and look for patterns, look for weaknesses, and then just so organically, you know, Iron Man brings him up to the building, which is like, you also got to remember, Hawkeye has never done anything like this. So he's like, hey, can you give me a lift? And then freaking Iron Man just like rockets up to him. He's like, oh.
Yeah.
And then he does
point.
what you just said, and it's like, it helps Cap, because Cap is, again, one of the lower power level guys on this team. It helps give him like, oh, that's why he's here, because he has the military strategy that these other people might not have.
Yeah. And but Tony also knows that, and that's why right in that scene he's like, Cap, you take it, like you take the lead. He immediately gave the authority to Cap, be like, hey, you know how to handle a war, which that's what this is, which I never thought about it like that. I just thought about it as a battle in New York, but this is a war that takes place in one day. And so he knew, like, that's the best way to go.
That's
just let's take orders
Tony's
from Cap.
Tony's brains again.
Yep. And speaking, I'm going to do a few facts since we were talking about them. Clint Barton is an ambidextrous archer, although Jeremy Renner is left-handed. He is seen shooting right-handed in Thor and both left and right-handed in this film.
So annoying as an actor to just, all right, I got to get good enough to fake like I'm actually good with my right hand.
I didn't put it in the facts, but he actually trained with Olympic archers for this movie as well.
That's cool.
Wow.
And honestly, the first time we ever have seen Hawkeye in the big screen live action, I think he was in some shows way back when, but the mechanism that he has for his bows and everything, super awesome, super cool for the time. Like he can like immediately choose a grapple, a detonation, you know, all that stuff. That was really clever that they did that. Also, according to the visual effects supervisor, Josh Whedon, disliked Joss Whedon. The director disliked Iron Man's Tinkerbell pose when flying, so he insisted that in this movie, the suit be equipped with a jetpack. This would allow his hands and / gauntlets to be free, which in turn offered those great cowboy poses that we're seeing in the film.
Nice.
Let's see. Another improvised moment was when the Hulk brings Iron Man back to consciousness by roaring at him. That was improvised. That was improvised by Mark Ruffalo during the motion capture performance.
Nice. Shout out to the Ruffalo. That was great.
Let's rank Loki. Let's get back to the villain.
Largest tangent
easy
ever.
one.
So again, we have to have that discussion.
Easy.
Are we gonna keep him at the same spot and just put Loki as Loki? Because we also ranked him at number 1 from Thor. So should we keep that, or should we put him Loki from Thor number 2, Loki from Avengers number 1?
I say we keep them together. I say we just say it's just Loki.
Just Loki.
And Loki's number 1.
I feel like it's gonna get really convoluted.
Still Loki.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's reached his final form.
Okay, so he's still at number 1 though.
Yeah.
Are we all in agreement?
No, he's like 6th. I don't know, maybe.
All right, cool. So the villains stay the same. It's just Loki. He's still at number 1.
It's just
Counts for
Loki.
2 movies.
Loki's gonna be up there for a while, I think.
I think so too.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, you be quiet, Danny.
Oh, you shut up.
Never.
Danny,
Show me your face and
we
see
would
that.
respect your opinion more if you both had a camera and had seen the movie within a week.
Oh,
There we go.
here it comes. Oh no.
Try me.
Try me.
Do you need me to
Come
say it
on,
to your
do
face,
it.
Danny? I know you like to ask people to do that. Do you need me to say it to your face?
Yes.
We'd respect your
Um,
opinion more if you'd seen the movie within the last week.
I don't care. He's still not gonna
Uh,
get up there last.
The CGI. What'd you guys think of the CGI in this movie?
Dude, Hulk looks so good compared to
Oh,
what Hulk
yeah.
used to look
Oh,
like,
yeah.
bro. The Chitauri looks solid. Iron Man looks solid. The Lightning. Dude, the Lightning looks more real in this movie than it does in almost any other movie. I don't
In
know.
real life.
Yeah, I don't know if it looks better than any other Lightning, but it looks more realistic.
Yeah,
Um,
you can see that they put some time and effort into this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think.
and-
oh my god!
Oh, wow, that
Gotta
was
time
great.
that out for a second.
That was amazing.
That's gonna make it to the cut.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my
They
god!
really thought this out. I'm out.
Should we just keep going?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
he can finish his thought later.
For me, I think there was only one scene in the whole movie that I thought looked a little strange, and that was when Captain America is jumping out of the plane and going down to where Iron Man is fighting Thor.
Thor.
That's
the
the only
parachute?
time in the whole, yeah, with the parachute, and you see like that with his shield, and he goes into the camera and everything like that. That's the only time I ever thought it looked weird, but compared to all the detail that we have in the rest of the movie, like he's got the little like triangle like I talked about.
Mhm.
There's the lightning that looks great, the Chitauri, and there's a lot of them, and they all look fantastic. The Hulk looks great. It's just like
Oh my god, the airship. I literally named it earlier, and now I've forgotten what it's called. The helicarrier.
Helicarrier, yeah.
Yeah, and let's not forget the practical effects, dude. Practical effects other than Captain America's suit, they're on point.
Yep.
I think it just gets to be number one just because of the scope and scale. Because in my opinion, the OG Iron Man suit is just so good looking. It alone looks, in my opinion, better than any single thing in Avengers. But Avengers is filled with things like that when you think of the set pieces and when you think of the 3D character models. So I just think Avengers takes it.
Yeah, I think so too, for sure.
I agree.
Danny had a power outage apparently, but yeah,
you know
definitely was our number one.
that happens when you don't watch movies.
Yeah.
Don't have electricity to watch
Even
him.
the city of Broomfield doesn't want him to be on this podcast. That's all I'm saying.
Man, is there anything I could add into here? I guess I'll throw this one in. Yeah, the filmmakers secured the rights for Columbia Pictures to feature Oscorp Tower from The Amazing Spider-Man in New York City. Unfortunately, by then, digital rendering of the skyline was already completed, and it could not appear.
That would have been cool.
Right? Imagine what could have been possible.
It's a tiny detail
in the future. Yep. Also, something else I was thinking about is, remember that one scene when Hulk, he's like, I'm always angry, and he turns into Hulk and he punches it and it goes up, and then Iron Man flies over, little thing comes out, and then it blows up. That little missile that he has, I'm just saying, it looks really close to the one that to Warhammer? No. Yeah, War Machine has. The one that had like
the ex-wife?
the rocket. Yeah. It looked really similar. It looked like he took that concept and improved on it.
Or not improved on it, actually made it.
Right? Yeah. Let's see. What's the next thing here? Oh. It's time to guess the Rotten Tomato score.
Oh, we can't do that without Danny.
No?
No, let's do fight scene.
Ooh.
Or we could do soundtrack.
Yeah, or soundtrack, that's fine too.
Soundtrack. Let's do soundtrack.
It's still below Iron Man for me.
What? I can't
It's
agree.
solid.
It is.
But I just like rock. I
Sure.
don't know.
Like I like rock too, but the fact that they have a original score and it becomes so iconic and
Yeah.
matches the tone so well. Like now you go to dun 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 dun, like they immediately know that's Avengers,
Yeah,
and that's a good soundtrack.
I'm fine with it. Throw it up
think this
top.
goes number one. Number one.
And at the end credits, one of the songs by Soundgarden, "Live to Rise."
That was Soundgarden. Yeah, me and Kalen were listening to it, and it's like, that sounds like Chris Cornell. If I had to guess,
Yeah,
it's
oh,
Chris
yeah.
Cornell.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was Audio Slave or Soundgarden, and then I looked
That-
it up and
yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
I think I said Audio Slave when I was talking to her. That is one of the very few things that dates this film. This film, like, is almost, you could drop it in today and it'd be fine. But the end credit music with Soundgarden is like, okay, that ages it a little bit. And then also there's a tiny scene when Hawkeye is coming to and everything is super saturated. That's just like super like late 2000s filmmaking.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, other than
now
that, looks great.
Now let's talk about the
Fight scene.
action sequence. Are we just going to do the war in New York City?
We have to,
Well,
right?
I hate it because I love the small fight between Tony and
I know.
Thor.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
It's
crazy,
just
dude.
so
And then
cool.
even the fight between Thor and the Hulk is
Yeah.
freaking great. Dude, I mean,
Mhm.
this film alone probably has all of the fight scenes are better than every other
Oh yeah,
other movie.
Yeah, but let's think about it this way: what is the one that's going to make this movie stay on the top for the longest?
It's not even that. Like you're right that the Thor Iron Man one is freaking great, but just pound for pound, it's not as good as the final battle. It's
'cause
close.
it's so long.
Yeah, but exactly.
And
the final is
everyone
so
gets a
long.
real
And
good time to
everybody
shine.
gets their thing. So
Yeah.
it's not as good. So we have to do the final battle.
And even like this is where we start getting the quips in there and everything, where he's like, "Oh, I'm bringing the party to you guys." She's like, "I fail to see how that's a party,"
I
and
know,
everything like that. It's
No, but
it's
yeah,
great.
we get the freaking the tail of Jonah and the fish. Freaking great fight sequence. We get all of freaking Hawkeye's freaking whipping like it's freaking the end of freaking Archer Day
And
at the
freaking,
Olympics.
man, freaking.
It's just too good.
Uh,
And then we get Thor doing his smashy. Thor doesn't actually have that much good stuff. It's the same with Cap, in my opinion. But they have some good stuff.
Thor, when they're coming down and he just lights up the sky with lightning.
It's
Come
pretty
on.
cool. No, it's good.
And then one of my favorite things about that whole fight sequence is we get an appearance by none
Ellie.
other than Ashley Johnson.
Yeah.
Ellie from The Last of Us, and she's wearing Converse, and it's great.
She's supposed to have a larger role than that. And
really?
Yeah, she had a deleted scene where at some point her and Captain America talk. And I just feel so bad for her because like she's a great actress, great performer, and she just
But just to
lost
be in
some
a
of her
movie
role.
that earns $1.5 billion, like, come on.
Yeah,
you
dude,
know?
but like having just a little, tiny little scene at the end is not the same as having your own tiny little arc with Captain America at the end.
That's very true. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. And then just Hulk really shines in this final fight. Some of the best Hulk fights in the whole MCU, honestly.
Honestly, yeah, for sure. Interestingly enough, at around 55 minutes, I'm just throwing this in because we're talking about the Hulk. Tony Stark tells Bruce Banner that he admires his work on anti-electron collisions. When electrons and anti-electrons, also known as positrons, collide, they annihilate each other, and high-energy protons or gamma rays are produced in their place. So,
Cool.
yeah, it was a
Cool.
little.
That is cool.
Oh,
Fun-
also,
fun
thank you
fact
for reminding me. That same scene where he's talking about that. He's talking to Bruce, and he basically says like, you need to. He's saying like the green guy saved your life. Like you should be dead, and the Hulk saved your life, and like you should find a way to work with your curse. Like you can view it as a curse, or you can view it as a blessing. And then he talks about his thing. Right there in Tony's genius is basically telling him, hey, you need to learn to get along with the Hulk. And at the time, Bruce Banner is like, no, you're crazy. This is the worst thing ever. But then we see that in how many movies later, what ends up happening.
Yep.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. There's just so many unbelievable callback. Not even callbacks, just statements that tie into films a decade later.
Yeah. Okay, but we all agree that this is going number one for the fight scene,
Yeah,
right?
because Gulmira is the one at number
Yes,
one.
Gulmira
right?
is number one
it's
right
above
now.
Gulmira.
And it is just going to be called Avengers War in New York.
And just do
That's-
Final Fight or Avengers v Chitauri or whatever you want to call it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure you will see it right there.
War versus the Chitari. Chitari, sorry.
We already did
shiitake mushrooms.
shiitake mushrooms. You know it. We already did
So
Tom
umami.
Hiddleston. I'm gonna throw a few more marvelous facts in here. Reportedly, a scene was filmed where during the final battle, Captain America saves an old man trying to protect his grandchild. He tells him to get them to cover, but as he walks away, the old man asks him, "Cap, is that really you?" He turns and, noting the man's World War II veteran label pin, trades salutes with him. As Captain America sprints away, the children ask their grandfather, "Do you know him?" And he replies, "We all know him."
Dude, I guarantee you that just got cut just because of the runtime.
Yeah, for sure.
Bucky, is that you? That's right, I'm old man Bucky.
It was probably the guy with like the handlebar mustache in the first Avenger. It's probably that guy.
And one more
Hogan.
here is the director explained that two of the founding Avenger members, Ant-Man and Wasp, were cut from the script because the film had too many characters. Also, the screenwriters didn't want Ant-Man in the MCU until his movie was released.
They'd
Makes sense.
already announced his movie at this time?
I don't think they had announced it, but they for sure had plans.
Interesting.
They already knew it was coming. Yeah.
It's funny that said, we don't want to do it because it already has too many characters. Cut to a decade later where there's like 50 characters in one movie.
Yeah. But it's amazing that, this is the movie that set the groundwork for like team movies
Team up.
going forward. Team up, thank you, movies. And they do so well to give every single character their time to shine, and just like it's done masterfully. It's amazing.
There's so many subtle moments, and I've already talked about a couple, with Black Widow becoming an Avenger, but there's also a scene when Thor has fallen out of the helicarrier and he's walking up to Mjolnir and he's looking at it and he reaches out and he looks super concerned and he doesn't grab it. That's because I'm pretty sure he's worried that he's not worthy again. And that's why he's not grabbing it, because he's like, I don't want to do that and not be able to pick it up. And again, everybody, and which is just a beautiful little sentiment that calls back into Thor, where it's like at this moment, and even for a long time, Thor is still grappling with being worthy. Is he still that paragon of morality and justice that his father wants him to be and that he wants to be? In that same note, everybody always talks and everybody always sees that Captain America is that like moral standard and the moral backbone of the Avengers. But even though Thor isn't as vocal about it, he's the same thing. In order to carry Mjolnir, he has to have the moral spine and just the moral fiber to be able to be worthy of that hammer. And when you think about it, he is always doing and trying to do the right thing. He gets knocked down sometimes, but he almost never deviates from the path of good. And I think that's another thing that people don't give him enough credit for, is that he is also one of the moral pillars in these films.
That's true. Yeah, I think you're right. Since we're still on hold for the Rotten Tomatoes score, what do you, let's rank the after credits scene.
Best.
Number one. This one. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention when you were talking about team up films. I remember at the time that people were like, how are they going to do this movie with all these main characters? And that's another thing that they had to overcome. And they freaking killed it.
yeah, at that point, the only thing that we had seen comparable was the X-Men, which 1 and 2, there's an argument to be made that those are good films. And then we had the Fantastic Four,
But
which is
even-
there's an argument to be made those aren't very good films.
And even in those films, it's like Wolverine's the main character.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, I remember being concerned about it. I'm like, I don't know how they're going to do it, and just walking out of theater being completely satisfied. And
Yeah.
it's amazing. But yeah, for sure. I think just the fact that we see Thanos, we get the hint of him courting death and all that stuff, which they don't really
go
do
into,
anything with.
but still, it's great.
Yeah, but like seeing Thanos, and then at the end, the shawarma scene, it was awesome. It was awesome. And
Easy
I'm
number
pretty
one.
sure this is the first Marvel movie to have 2 end credit scenes as well. I think all the others just had 1.
Yes.
So now it's time to guess the Rotten Tomato score.
It's the prices. I mean, the Rotten Tomato score is right.
Where do you guys think this is in the Rotten Tomatoes?
I'm gonna say 88.
89. We're gonna freaking prices right this.
Not that $1 over, Nate. Really?
Is this supposed to be $1 under? I don't know.
No, it's above.
Very, very close. 91.
Dang, dude. I'm not surprised, dude. I know everybody loved this movie. I just didn't know, even the critics, like how much did the critics like this movie? And they liked it a lot.
Yeah,
Wait,
they did.
Winnie, did you say yours?
No, I already saw it.
You
I can't.
dirty, dirty hoe.
What would you have said though?
Yeah, I don't know.
Now you're all biased.
I'd probably say
You're all
89.
biased.
I'd probably say 89. Yeah.
It's hard to
Just
give it
'cause
that 90 threshold.
Exactly.
Because critics
yeah,
only give like artsy fartsy movies 90s.
exactly. Yeah.
Like Titanic.
Like the Batman.
Ugh.
Like the Batman.
Last but not least,
The most important.
let's rank this in the MCU.
Oh, this is gonna be tough.
Right now, let me give you guys the rank. We have number 1, Iron Man. Number 2, Captain America, the First Avenger. Number 3, Iron Man 2. Number 4, Thor. And number 28, until the next movie comes out, The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, this is it's gonna be a tough one. What am I kidding? Avengers is number 1. It's so easy.
There's no question
It
about
will
it.
be for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for a while. It's funny because right now this list is like Avengers is by itself at the top, then Iron Man, which is the next one, and Thor, which is at the bottom before Hulk. They're all pretty close. Like Iron Man is better than Thor, but they're all like in the same league. And then it's Hulk all the way at the bottom. It's like you have the full spectrum, and then you have a bunch of movies in the middle, and then the full spectrum over here.
I love Iron Man so much.
I
So
do
there's
too.
something about that movie that
It's really good, bro.
But honestly, for me, rewatching this, like I've rewatched Iron Man a lot, and like I agree, there's something like magical about that movie, and that's why the MCU exists today, is because of that magic that movie had. But rewatching this, it made me realize this movie had a magic to it as well, where it's just like this vibe is amazing, and it just everything falls into place just right, you know? So honestly, I feel like this is the underrated version of Iron Man because it starts everything and it's like a fresh, like this is the first one that I'm like, okay, this is what the MCU is all about. You know, it's about the Avengers. And for the next 2 phases or 3 phases, I can't remember. It's all about this. It's about Thanos. It's about the Infinity Stones. It's the MCU that we know and love, and it starts from this movie.
Are we doing just the movies, right?
Yeah,
just the movies. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
and the
It'd
Spider-Man
be a
stuff
lot.
for some reason.
Yeah, we're gonna.
If we're doing the Spider-Mans, why aren't we doing like the X-Men movies then?
Well, the X-Men movies don't
that's not
affect
Don't
yet.
cross over.
Yet.
Don't
Yet.
cross. Okay. Yeah.
like
Yet.
if we see
Yet.
in
Doctor
Multiverse of
Strange.
Madness,
Yeah.
if we see
Captain
like Hugh
Picard.
Jackman and like we see Wolverine in it or something and Deadpool in it, we might. But that's still a lot of movies to get through. There's a lot more than just
Honestly,
what is it,
we
1, 2.
probably aren't going to watch those other Spider-Man movies. Let's just have our movies in the MCU official, and then we can just talk about the other ones.
I like that idea.
We'll see. Danny's really persistent on.
We
on
can
rewatching
watch. We can
Spider-Man movies.
rewatch the other
You
Spider-Man
can watch
movies.
those, but not.
I know.
Yeah,
Friggin' schmuck.
he wants to watch Spider-Man 3 so
You know,
bad.
how about we do
And I
this?
want to watch him to prove him wrong.
No.
Three?
Yeah, how
He
about
loves
this?
3, dude.
How about this?
That's the worst one.
This is what I say. So we don't do a podcast for Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, Amazing, and Amazing 2. We do a podcast for Spider-Man 3 so we can dump on Danny. But we do watch all those other movies so that we can talk about them when we do No Way Home.
I don't. Okay, I'm down with that, but I don't think we can trust Danny to watch all those movies and actually watch them.
Well, Winston, he doesn't watch them anyway, so who cares?
I guess that's true. All right, I'm totally down with that. Yeah.
But we should do a podcast on Spider-Man 3. Just a mess.
Yes.
Did you guys
Yes, we should.
not get that
Does he
meme?
not remember that?
No, he remembers.
Movie?
He remembers, Eric.
Yeah.
It's-
I remember going
Venom,
to theaters to watch that.
Venom is amazing.
He's
but
okay.
no, the character Venom is amazing. What they did with him in 3 was a travesty.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
and I love Topher Grace too. The actor Topher Grace. I mean, he's
butcher.
one of my. I know he's my favorite actor
Butcher
in
everybody.
in that '70s show. And then I
Yeah.
see him in that, and I'm just like,
What's
this
happening?
is not the right actor
Yep.
for this role.
And they
Yeah.
butcher Toby.
Oh yeah.
Ay. That movie
We'll
like
get
almost
there. We'll get
ruined his
there.
career.
Yeah. It
What
did.
was I gonna? It didn't ruin his career. What am I saying? He's fine, but it definitely is not
He's
a bright
fine.
spot. But I don't
Now we're
remember.
getting just that gets cut.
But next, what's the next MCU movie that we're revisiting, Eric?
Okay, the next movie on the list is Iron Man 3.
Flashy montage right here.
Sorry.
That's right. So stick around for that. We're going into phase 2, gentlemen. It's
It
gonna be
has
a fun
begun.
ride.
Potentially the worst phase.
Yeah,
He's
maybe.
right.
We'll
There's
see.
some low ranking ones from. I can already think of 3 that I'm not super.
There's a good one in here. There's a special boy in this phase.
Oh, it's so special.
Yeah,
so
but
special.
a lot of them are pretty not great.
Yep.
pretty
Yep.
poop.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for geeking out with us, and until next time, have a marvelous day and stay frosty.
Shout out if Winston says too much.